Let's talk about how you can get a high credit card limit. If you're an individual who has $300, $500, or even a $1,000 credit limit and looking to get into 5 figures, this is a video for you. What's up, winners? My name is Nam. If you're new here, welcome. Here we talk all things personal finance and credit. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. If you are new to the credit card game or you are a seasoned vet, you're gonna get some value from this video. Credit card limits, they do play a large role in your credit score. The key reason behind this is credit utilization. Roughly about 30% of your FICO credit score is the amount owed. Even though credit utilization does play a large role in this portion of your credit score, but when it comes down to getting more lines of credit, this is what creditors will pay a close attention to. In a nutshell, credit utilization is represented as a percentage, which is the balance that you owe compared to the credit that is available to you. So as an example, let's just say that you do have a $500 credit limit and you put a $200 balance on this. In this example, this will be a 40% credit utilization. Ideally, you want to keep your credit utilization as low as possible. The general rule of thumb is 30%, but I would say 10% or less is ideal, but obviously the lower the better. Now let's just say that you were able to increase that $500 credit limit to a $2,000 credit limit. Now that $200 balance is only 10%. But what I think that most people don't know is that credit utilization only matters when the statement balance becomes due. I think due to the rise of paperless billing or electronic statements, people are not really aware of when statement balances are due. So if any of you guys have Chase credit cards, I'll show you exactly where you can find it. So whenever you log onto your Chase portal and you look at your accounts, you should see something in small print that shows when your statement period ends. Currently for this credit card, my statement ends on February 10th, meaning that whatever is left on my statement balance when it closes, this is the information that gets reported to the credit bureaus. So currently with this credit card, I have an $18,900 credit limit. From a credit utilization standpoint, this comes out to be about 0.02%. Again, this is only if I do not pay the balance before the statement cycle ends. If I decide to pay this off on February 9th, my credit utilization will just be zero, and it will get reported to the credit bureaus as a no balance. The only reason on why you want to have a high credit limit is that if you are holding balances on your credit cards, it will have less of an effect on your credit score. So your credit score can remain higher. But having a high credit limit is not an excuse to have higher balances on those credit cards, because it does come in handy when you are in an emergency, like if you need emergency car repairs or some sort of medical emergency. Credit card debt is the worst kind of debt, but in the case of an emergency and you have no cash reserves, it may come in handy, especially if you know that you can pay off this money relatively quickly. So now let's move on to when exactly you should request for a credit limit increase. Now this really depends on some of the credit card issuers. Some are willing to offer credit limit increases as short as 60 days, some 90 days, but for me, I do highly recommend waiting 6 months as a general rule of thumb because this is what most companies will follow. I know for sure that a company that allows you to increase your credit limit within 60 days is American Express. They are pretty well known and very generous in increasing credit limits after this time frame. Many individuals were able to increase their credit by 3x, meaning that $1,000 credit limit can turn to $3,000. So depending on which type of credit card that you are thinking about getting a credit limit increase, it is best to do a little bit of research on whether or not they're willing to increase it 3 months or 6 months. Again, I think that 6 months is a good rule of thumb since it does give the credit card company some time to understand your spending habits and it does not make it seem like you're desperate for credit. In addition, if you are planning to get a credit limit increase, you gotta do some things to make sure that your credit score is as high as possible. So for instance, if you have any balances with any other credit cards, especially with that issuer that you are trying to get a credit limit increase, just make sure that you do pay it off prior to requesting. In addition, if you do have any recent delinquencies such as late payments, collections, public record items that may be on your credit report from the time that you applied for the card, you may have a high probability of getting a denial. But sometimes you never know because it's still possible to get a credit limit increase if you do have delinquencies. Now let's move on to the exact process of how to get a high credit limit. The first thing that you need to know is whatever credit card that you are looking to increase the credit limit, double check whether or not it does a soft inquiry or a hard inquiry. This is just a quick Google search. Soft inquiries has no negative harm to your credit score whatsoever, so you can do these all day long and nothing negative will happen. On the other hand, if it was a hard inquiry, this would drop your credit score a few points, probably for a few months up to a year, and eventually it will just fall off after 24 months. Some banks will do a hard inquiry every single time you do a credit limit increase, such as Chase Bank. So just be aware of that. So over here are some credit card companies that have been reported to do soft inquiries only. Again, this list may change depending on when you watch the video, so it is highly recommended to call customer service. Based on many reports, including myself, getting credit limit increases through customer service will give you much better results. because you get to build a little bit of rapport and you get a chance to fully explain your situation. Now, what if your situation was that you wanted to travel to Bora Bora or you wanted to buy a new Louis handbag? This is not a great reason on why you should get a credit limit increase. Even though that is your main intention, you do got to come up with a better rationale. Again, I'm not telling you to lie whatsoever, but you got to have a better reason. Come on, man. I think a good rationale is that you are looking to do upgrades to your home or you're moving into a new apartment and you need extra funding to buy furniture. These are actual reasons where they may consider your request. So once you have your reason dialed in, because I'm pretty sure that they will ask, the next thing you have to think about is how much you think that you may need. The smaller the credit limit is, the easier it is to get a higher amount. So if your credit limit is $300, it is not unheard of to get up to $3,000. A general rule of thumb is to ask at least 3 times the amount that you currently have. Even though this number is just a general rule of thumb, there are certain variables that should be considered. The first one being is a change of pay or income. Let's just say that you were a college student and you were working at a coffee shop part-time. Now you graduated college and now you're making $60,000 per year. In this example, since there is such a significant bump to your pay, your spending habits will most likely reflect this. So your credit limit increase should get a higher bump. Another variable is the creditor itself. For example, Navy Federal is pretty well known to extend credit limits up to $25,000 in a matter of a few months. So when you are in doubt and you don't know where to start, always overshoot of what you think that you may get. Because the credit card company can always give you a counteroffer. So if you requested $3,000 and they give you $2,000, just take it and attempt to adjust your spending for the next couple of months and request once again. Since you will be requesting directly through the credit card companies themselves, they'll have a track record of every transaction that you've made ever since you've been a member. So let's just say that your credit limit has been $500, and based on your spending habits, you've been putting around $400 on this card. Before the statement cycle closes, pay it off in full, meaning that there should be a zero balance that gets reported to the credit bureaus, so this will not have any effect to your credit score. The credit card companies will see how much you're using, and in turn, they're most likely to be like, hey, this person has been making a lot of purchases and also been paying on time. Let's give this dude some credit. Now, if you've done all the steps above and still get denied, it's not the end of the world, because if it was a soft inquiry, then nothing negative happened. Once you do get denied, you should receive a letter in the mail stating why you did. Just use this information to fix what happened and just try again later. Another route that you can take is ask for a reconsideration. But one thing you gotta make note of is that reconsiderations will most likely result in a hard inquiry, because it may be a manual review on your credit. The time frame that you should shoot for is 3 to 6 months. So if it's a soft inquiry, wait for 3 months. If it's a hard inquiry, just wait for 6 months. Now let's talk about some other ways that make it a little bit easier for you to get a credit limit increase. The first one that we'll be talking about will be adding on authorized users or purchasing trade lines. The name of the game is the more credit that you have available, the more likely it is for you to get credit. Unfortunately, if you have lower credit, it's going to be more difficult to get more credit. It's kind of like a catch-22. But if you were to get added on to another person's account as an authorized user, preferably someone that's your family member, not only this will increase your credit score, but it will also have this limit reflect on your credit report. So in turn, when you do get your credit limit increase reviewed, the credit card company will take this into consideration. Another route that some people try to take is by purchasing trade lines. This is where you would buy an authorized user slot on somebody else's account. Honestly, I really don't think this is a good route to take, just due to the fact that yes, possibly you get a higher credit limit, but when it comes down to getting loans, lenders may not even take that account into consideration. So now let's move on to another option that you can take, which is by purchasing primary trade lines. The key differences between primary trade lines and authorized user trade lines is that primary trade lines are the ones that you own personally. These credit lines will have more of an effect on your own credit score. There are plenty of trade lines out there that you can purchase. Typically they sell some sort of jewelry or electronics, but they do report to the credit bureaus. What is very possible is to purchase a bunch of these trade lines in a short period of time and get access to $50,000 worth of credit. Not only this will increase your credit score, but when it comes time to ask for a credit limit increase, you'll most likely get it. Because when you really think about it, when a lender sees that you have access to so much credit already, they'd be like, hey, this person can manage their debt, so we could probably trust this person with some more money. Again, this is kind of like a double-edged sword, because if you bought a lot of primary trade lines and you put balances on them, you could dig yourself in a deep hole of debt, and it can also drop your score. Another downside with buying these primary trade lines is that they do cost money. Most will have a startup fee, an annual fee, and some may have a monthly fee. And if you want them to continue to report to the credit bureaus, some may require you to have a balance on them. So depending on your credit score, many of these may or may not help you as much as you may think. Well, there you guys have it. This is exactly how to get a higher credit limit plus some bonus tips. If you guys got some value from this video, make sure you give this video a like because that really helps support the channel. I'll see you guys in my next videos.